Welcome to the Warrior in Progress podcast. This podcast features honest and vulnerable discussions about how to make lasting mindset shifts. Through these mindset shifts, you'll be able to commit to yourself and stop sabotaging yourself so you can transform your life. I'm your host, Jennifer McKee, certified health coach and motivational speaker. Look, I've been there. I've done that. I've lost over 50% of my body weight naturally. That's 185 pounds. I invite you to subscribe to the Warrior in Progress podcast for motivational, inspirational, and thought-provoking topics where I'll share with you some practical tools that I've learned on my journey so far that will empower you and help you to access that inner warrior that's inside each and every one of us. Are you ready to get started? Let's go. Hey everyone, welcome to the Warrior in Progress podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer McKee. Thank you so much for joining me today. I know it's been a while since I've recorded a podcast episode. As a lot of you know, I got married and we went on a lovely honeymoon. And so there was a lot of stuff taking up my time toward the middle to late part of 2021. So I do apologize for the lack of podcast episodes. And I want to thank everybody who's reached out to me with congratulations and also just the support for the podcast. It really, really means a lot, so much. So thank you so very much for your support. I really appreciate it. So today's episode is about how to see success faster. I hear this all of the time from people I have coached or coach. I hear them saying, well, I made a whole bunch of mistakes this week, so I just wasted a week, or I wasted a month, or I wasted 6 months. I should have been making better choices, and I had to start all over because I failed. So when we talk to ourselves in that way, it really, really does damage to our personal integrity, as well as our self-love and our self-confidence. So I'm going to talk to you today about how to reframe how you look at mistakes, and so that you can see success faster, okay? Because when you talk to yourself in that way, where you say, I wasted a week, or I wasted a month, or I just can't do this, this is too hard, all of this negative, the limiting beliefs that we tell ourselves, or the inner critic tells us, that often leads to self-sabotage. The self-sabotage can then, derail us and keep us further stuck. So how can I see success faster? Here are my tips for you. Number one, ask yourself, am I putting myself first to the best of my ability right now? Am I putting myself first truly? Am I truly putting in the effort? Or do I just kind of have 1 foot in, 1 foot out? Am I not fully committed to this process? Am I only putting in 50% effort? Because if you put in 50% effort, you're going to give 50% results. Maybe you tell yourself, I'm just too busy, or maybe life gets in the way for you. So often we let life get in the way. It's an excuse to not take care of ourselves. What's interesting is that everybody has the same amount of hours in every single day, right? So why are some people successful and some people aren't? Well, it's because of priorities, okay? So if we put ourselves first as a priority and put in the effort to the best of our ability on a given day, because it may change, one day we may have 30 minutes for ourselves or an hour for ourselves. And then another day we have 5 minutes for ourselves, So we just do the best we can day by day. But we are putting in the effort 100%, no matter what. So how to see success faster? First tip is, ask yourself, am I fully putting myself first? Am I fully putting in the effort? If the answer is no, that's an area that I would encourage you to look at, because when you put yourself first and you put in the effort to the best of your ability, that is one way to see success faster. Okay? So the second tip I have for you about how to see success faster really has to do with something I've talked about in prior podcast episodes. Your definition of progress, okay? What is your definition of progress? What is your definition of success? Is that something like I lose 10 pounds every week, or I never make mistakes, I eat 100% clean, and I exercise 7 days a week? Like, what is your definition of progress or success? And is it realistic? Is it realistic for you with your commitments, whether you're a mother, whether you're, have a career, whatever your other responsibilities are, is it realistic that you're going to be able to exercise 7 days a week? Most likely the answer is no. Most people do not exercise 7 days a week. Okay, so if we can start slow and gradually build on it, and also to know, like, to be flexible and adaptable, and to know that some weeks we may work out 6 times a week. Other weeks we may be lucky if we get 3 times in or 2 times in, right? So we have to do the best that we can, as long as we are committing and putting in 100% effort, right? And they're not just excuses. We do the best that we can, okay? So if we're telling ourselves that success means 10 pounds, I lose 10 pounds every week, then I think we might want to get a reality check, because that's just not realistic. If you are losing weight in a healthy way, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's highly unlikely that you're going to be losing 10 pounds a week, okay? And often we get so focused on the scale that we don't think about the other benefits to a healthy lifestyle. We're so focused on the scale and so focused on external things, like how we look externally, right? That we don't even think about, okay, maybe I'm correcting my blood pressure. Maybe I'm correcting my cholesterol. Those type of things, like the internal things. I am giving my body the fuel that it needs and taking care of my body by feeding it the fuel it needs. And I'm also getting movement in, right? So that's going to prolong our life most likely, right? And the other thing is, we don't even think about like the mental things and the emotional well-being that we gain from staying in integrity with ourselves, giving ourselves compassion and love when we make a mistake. Those types of things, those will change your life. They will change your life, because that is loving yourself unconditionally. And if you notice that you're making excuses, then you can call yourself out, or maybe your accountability partner can call you out if you're being honest with your accountability partner, so that you can learn from it and move forward. So I would really encourage you, if you want to see success faster, ask yourself, what is your definition of progress? What is your definition of success? And is it realistic? Okay, so the third thing I want to talk about in regards to how to see success faster is self-talk. Okay, so I already alluded to this and talked about this in the beginning, in the introduction for this podcast. But if we want to see success faster, we have to work on our self-talk, period. It's a must, okay? Because like I was mentioning in the beginning of this episode, when we tell ourselves things like, I just wasted a week, or I wasted a year, or I wasted 10 years, I should be making better choices, I should have lost the weight by now, I should, or I shouldn't, or I'm a failure, I have to start over. Those are self-defeating statements. All those statements do is make you feel worse about yourself and keep you stuck and lead to what? Yes, self-sabotage, right? Self-sabotage. Well, I may as well just quit this coaching program because I'm just not at a place right now where I can commit to this, or maybe I'm just not meant to be good at this, or I'm not good at this, or, we just make these excuses. We buy in to these false statements that we're telling ourselves. We say to ourselves, why aren't I further along? I should be further along. Okay, so we're very harsh on ourselves, and we're judging ourselves. We're judging ourselves, and most likely we're comparing ourselves to other people. Well, Judy's ahead. She started at the same time as me, and she's lost 50 pounds. I've gained 20. So we compare ourselves to other people, which is like comparing apples to oranges. We don't know what the other person is doing, etc. And also the other thing I would say is this is not easy. Okay? If you're programmed to turn to food or other vices to cope with life, and you have never fully committed to creating a healthy lifestyle or healthy habits for yourself, this is not easy. Okay, so give yourself some credit and understand that this is not easy. Okay, if it was, then nobody would have a health or weight issue, right? But this is about so much more than physical health, in my opinion. It is about the emotional well-being, the spiritual, and the mental as well. I mean, to me, that goes hand in hand with it. And this is a perfect example of that with the self-talk. We get in our way. We absolutely 100% get in our way a lot of the time. And it's like, sometimes I say to myself, get out of your way, Jennifer, because most of the time I'm the one who's in my way. Like, nobody else is in my way. It's me. So, sometimes I like to think of certain quotes that I've read in various books that I've read. And, instead of saying to myself, what if, maybe I can say to myself, why not? Or if I'm saying to myself, yes, but, there's where that excuse comes in, right? Yes, but maybe I can reframe that to the same thing. Why not? Why can't I do this? Just because I haven't been successful with this in the past, or, maybe I was successful for a little bit and then I fell off the wagon. Why not trying again? Why not try again? You know what I mean? Because to me, this is a journey. Life is a journey, and we are going to make mistakes. I think the important thing is that we learn from the mistakes and we try again, right? Have you ever heard the saying, if you fail, like, just try again? It's exactly like that with this too, So the third thing is really working on, if you want to see success faster, working on changing that limiting inner critic talk, that you got in your head, the self-talk. Okay. And that also relates to all or nothing thinking, because obviously it's all or nothing. We think things are black and white, but in my experience, things are not black and white at all. The fourth thing that I want to talk about in regards to how to see success faster is to talk about, okay, what can I do? Okay, I know that I have some, maybe negative self-talk, and I know that I haven't been putting myself first or putting in the effort, and perhaps my definition of progress and success is not very realistic. So now what? Okay, so once you have, recognized all of those things and you're committed to working on your self-talk, by the way, it's like when I first started that, I was working on that nonstop because my inner talk was so negative, it was not funny. But I had to work on it a lot, like all the time. And the thing is that the more you work on it, the more positive your self-talk gets. Now, if I notice that I'm being judgmental of myself, or if I'm getting a negative thought or something like that about myself, I can immediately recognize and reframe it. And then I feel so much better. So once you know all of this stuff, my fourth tip is to show up for yourself. Okay, show up every single day, take action, learn from your mistakes, and move on. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Show up for yourself. What that means is putting yourself first and committing to yourself to the best of your ability, and take action. Okay, I can read books and I can, hypothesize about certain things and agree with certain things, but if I'm not taking action, nothing's going to change. And then the next thing is to learn from your mistakes. Learn from your mistakes and observe whatever your mistakes are, make an amends or an apology if necessary, and move on. Move on. You are not a terrible person or a failure just because you made a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes, and we will continue to make mistakes until the day we die. So the sooner we learn how to not judge ourselves, to give ourselves a little bit of love and compassion and learn from it and move on, that's when we can start to see more success as well. Okay? So one other thing that I want to mention which is probably, I think, the fifth thing I would say to how to see success faster, is to refuse. I like that word, refuse. It's pretty powerful, to refuse to stop doing your healthy habits, okay? So this is for people who have worked really hard to build certain healthy habits. Maybe you're taking your supplements, or maybe you're drinking your water every day, or, maybe you don't eat fast food anymore, or, whatever it is. Like, there's healthy habits that you have worked really hard to build, but let's say that you're going through a difficult time. Let's say that something very challenging has presented itself in your life right now. And so what I have done in the past is I found myself slipping. I found myself wanting to not do anything. And actually, many years ago, that's what I would do. I would have created healthy habits, and then I would go through something that was very stressful or challenging, and then I would let all of my healthy habits go. It was almost like I was, went back to my default programming. My default programming was really just to, eat crap, maybe drink some alcohol, and just isolate and just be unhealthy, right? And not do anything healthy for myself, especially not talk to myself in a healthy way. And so one of the mentalities I developed in the last several years is I have told myself that I refuse to stop doing my healthy habits. So it's like, if I'm going through something challenging today, and let's say that I'm having a really stressful day and I'm behind on my water, I have gotten the thought in my head, well, okay, you don't have to drink your water today. There's no way you're going to get it in, a whole bunch of excuses. But then the other voice comes in and says, well, wait a minute. Yes, I have had a stressful day. Yes, I am behind on my water, but I can still get it in. I'm going to die trying. You know what I mean? I'm going to just try my hardest to get this water in, because I have gotten a gallon of water every single day for a long time now. And I am not about to let that go just because I had a stressful day. So like, there's those things that I always make sure that I do. I mean, I have days where I don't feel like taking my supplements, or, maybe I don't want to eat in a particular way or whatever. But I remind myself of how hard it was to build these healthy habits. In my opinion, it's a lot easier to let them go, at least it is for me, than to create these healthy habits. I worked really hard to create these healthy habits. The other thing that I know about myself is that even if I have a day where maybe my eating's not very good, or, maybe I didn't get my workout in, or whatever the case may be, because yes, this does happen to me. It happens to everyone. I make sure that I still do a handful of my healthy habits. So I make sure that I drink my water. I make sure I take my supplements. I make sure I'm doing my journaling, my meditation, the things that I do for my emotional, mental, and spiritual health. There's certain things that, like I said, I refuse to stop doing. I refuse to not do, no matter how stressful my day is. But I just do the best that I can. And I feel a heck of a lot better when I'm doing a lot of things for myself every day. Maybe I'm not doing everything I want to do, but I'm doing a lot of things for myself every single day. And I feel really good about myself. And you know what? I remember what it was like when I would go through a similar situation many years ago, and I didn't do anything for myself. And I let everything go in that day. And guess what? I felt terrible about myself. I felt less than. I felt like a failure. So that's a place that I never want to go back to. So this is a tip for how you can still keep succeeding, okay? Even if you have a stressful day, and even if maybe your eating isn't where you want it to be, but you can still do so many of your healthy habits. If you ask yourself, how long is this going to take me to do? Like, for example, taking supplements or whatever, it doesn't take a long time to do it. It's actually very simple. The water, for me that day where I was behind on my water, I did get it in. And yes, I was waking up like several times in the night to pee, but you know what? I got it in. I got it in, and I was really, really happy. That's the price I had to pay, right? For getting my water in a little bit too late. Okay. So remember that. Refuse to stop doing your healthy habits that you've created, because that's how you're going to hang on to them, because life will get in the way. It will try to get in the way, but it's up to you if you let it get in the way. Okay. So I want to just briefly recap these tips that I've given you about how to see success faster. Okay, so the first one, remember, is to ask yourself if you're putting yourself first or if you're really fully putting in 100% effort. If not, why not? The second thing that I talked about is perhaps your definition of progress or success is not realistic. And so that's something that you want to take a look at. The third thing was self-talk. Take a look at your self-talk. Are you sabotaging yourself by the things that you're telling yourself? The fourth thing is, once you've looked at all of those things, what you can do to see success faster is to show up every single day for yourself, take action, learn from your mistakes, and move on. Remember, give yourself some love and compassion when you make a mistake, but not excuses. Not excuses to keep making the mistake or make more mistakes. And then the last thing I mentioned was, for those people who have worked hard to create healthy habits, refuse to stop doing your healthy habits. Refuse. Make those your number one priority, because if you're doing something for yourself every day, no matter how stressful or challenging life gets, you're going to feel a heck of a lot better. Remember where you came from. Remember where you were when you weren't doing any of those healthy habits and how you felt about yourself. And just remember, it's very easy to lose healthy habits. At least I find it is anyway. Remember, there is no perfect time to create a healthy lifestyle or to create healthy habits, etc. There is no perfect time. There's no perfect way to do this. There's no perfect diet. Different things work for different people. And I think that we have to figure out what works for us, but to also understand that like I said, nothing is perfect, and we are going to make mistakes no matter what diet or plan or program we choose. So no matter what, we have to always learn how to forgive ourselves, learn from our mistakes, and move forward. But my suggestion to you is to start now and commit to small things. Commit to 1 to 3 small things, and really make sure you do those no matter what, and build on those. That's how you create healthy habits and a healthy lifestyle. Remember too that, transformation takes time and patience. This is not going to happen overnight, okay? So I know that we all want results yesterday. It's like we want to lose 10 pounds a week, etc. But the thing is that when you want lasting transformation, it's going to take time and patience, okay? So think about like a seed, okay? If I plant a seed, I can pull at it, I can overwater it, I can do all sorts of things, but that's not going to help it grow any faster, right? It's not going to grow any faster. I have to trust the process, right? If the seed is in the soil and is getting watered and is getting sunlight, I have to trust that it's going to grow at its own pace and trust that it will grow. It will grow. I just have to be patient and allow it the time it needs to grow. That is the same with transformation. So give yourself a break and trust that if you do what you're supposed to be doing, you're committing to those small things every day, you're giving yourself what you need, not just from nutrition and exercise perspective, but also that emotional, mental, and spiritual, side of things. Trust that transformation will happen, because I'm guaranteeing you that it will. Let me ask you a question, and I've asked this question on previous podcast episodes, but I'm going to ask it again. If you keep doing what you're doing, so if you keep putting in the time and effort that you have been putting in, whatever that is, and you're not seeing the results that you want, so if you keep doing that or you stop putting in any effort, what is the result going to be? What have you got to lose by putting in the time and the effort for lasting change? And no, it's not going to take you 24 hours a day to do that. So often we think it's going to take, 8 hours a day in order to succeed at this, and that's not true at all. Start where you are, commit to 1 to 3 things, put in the effort, put in the time for those 3 things, 1 to 3 things. Build on it and watch how your life changes. Watch how your life changes. So for the call to action, I want you to write down a definition of success, okay? What is your definition of success? How are you going to know that you're being successful with creating this healthy lifestyle? And I want it to be realistic. Make sure it's realistic. If you don't know if it's realistic, share it with somebody else. I would encourage you to share it with an accountability partner or somebody else that you can trust so that you can get someone else's perspective and opinion. And anytime that you notice that you're beating yourself up or you're telling yourself, I have to start over, or I wasted a week, or I wasted a month, or I should be making better choices, I want you to read your definition of success. And I want you to ask yourself, am I seeing any of these things? Be honest with yourself. And if the answer is no, you're not seeing any of those things, then I want you to listen to this podcast episode again. I want you to listen to the podcast episode and try to figure out, is it because I'm not putting myself first? Am I not putting in full effort? Am I, not learning from my mistakes? Is my inner talk sabotaging me, etc.? Okay, I want you to listen to this podcast episode again, okay? So everyone's definition of success may be a little bit different. I encourage you to figure out what works for you. So for me, my definition of success is if I'm growing. And so what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is I accept that I'm going to make mistakes, and I make sure that I learn from the mistakes and move forward. Yes, sometimes I have to repeat the same mistakes before I learn. Okay, that's normal. That's life. But my goal is to repeat the mistake as few times as possible and learn from it and move on, because that's when I know my life is going to improve and my life is going to get better. So if I am growing, that is success. Well, what are some ways you can grow? For me, it's things as growing in my spirituality, growing and staying in integrity with myself, committing to small promises every single day, and making sure that I do those things. Am I perfect? No. But again, I learn from it. I move forward. I forgive myself. Instead of beating myself up, I forgive myself. I look at it to see, what can I learn from this? What can I learn from this? So if my perspective is a growth perspective or a growth mindset, to me, that's success. Do I want to see certain results on the scale? Yes, absolutely. But I know that it's not just about the scale. So if I'm focused so much on a number, I'm going to miss the point, because this is the thing. When I was focused on the scale, I always ended up right back where I was, gaining all the weight plus more. It was only when I started to work on what I was really struggling with, right? The mental, emotional, and spiritual issues, that I started to see improvements. And also not just only doing those things, but also when I started doing all of those things that I've talked about so far in this podcast, when I started to work on my self-talk, when I started to treat myself with love, respect, and compassion, that's when things really started changing for me. So it was only when I started making several mindset shifts that my life started to change, okay? So, when I worked on the emotional and the spiritual and the mental, and also when I started creating realistic expectations and I started working on my self-talk and accepting that I'm not perfect, I'm going to make mistakes, but that doesn't mean that I'm less than. It doesn't mean that I'm a failure. It doesn't mean I'm not good enough. It means that I'm a human being. Okay? So when I started working on all of those things and focusing on building healthy habits, focusing on 1 to 3 small things a week, that's when my life really started changing. So all of these things together, when I started working on these things, the weight loss was a byproduct. But you know what? I'm still working on myself. In my opinion, this is a journey until the day we die. I'm not perfect. As some of you know, I have gained some weight back, and I'm working hard on, figuring that out and getting back to where I feel comfortable in my own body, not a number on a scale, where I feel comfortable in my own skin. But I don't just mean most comfortable physically. I'm also talking emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And to be honest with you, I feel a lot better now than I did when I weighed less in those regards. So life is a learning experience. I believe that the universe or God or whatever you want to call it puts challenges in our path for us to learn from. So I believe that, my weight gain has been a result of challenges that I was presented with. And it was a reminder to me how important committing to these healthy habits on a daily basis is under all circumstances to the best of my ability. So I've learned a lot from my experiences, in the last few years, and I've grown as a result. So even though the number on the scale is up from where it was, I feel stronger. I feel like a better version of myself. I know that the weight loss will follow as long as I'm committing to myself, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, as well as, committing to nutrition and exercise and things like that. I know that the weight loss will follow. So your definition of success may be different than your accountability partners, but I would say there's no right or wrong answer, but I would say that the important thing about your definition of success or progress needs to be healthy. It needs to be healthy. It needs to be realistic. And if you have a hard time determining if something's healthy or realistic, I encourage you to talk to a therapist, talk to a coach, talk to somebody who has an outside perspective. And the other thing that I would encourage you to do, this is not really part of the call to action, but it's something I would highly recommend that you do, that no matter what you try, meaning what program it is or diet or whatever, when you're working to create a healthy lifestyle and healthy habits, these are things you're going to do the rest of your life. You have to fully commit to this, whatever it is, for 3 months at least. I see so many people, they commit to like 1 week, 2 weeks, or a month, and they expect to have, lost 100 pounds or something. And it's like that, it doesn't happen like that. Or they expect their life to be quote unquote fixed. And it's like, it actually takes a lot of work, but it is so worth it. What else are you going to do? It's like, the way I looked at it was, if I kept doing what I was doing, I knew where that was going to get me. And that just wasn't an option for me anymore. So I was like, I have to try to be better. I have to at least try to change my lifestyle. And I don't know how long it's going to take, and I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I trust that if I commit to myself and commit to these healthy habits I want to create, then I can get there. And I don't care how long it takes, because this process is a heck of a lot better than my old life, where I wasn't doing anything for myself. And I was treating myself like crap. I was putting crap into my body, etc. So I encourage you to fully commit to whatever it is that you're doing, whatever program or whatever healthy habits you're trying to create, for at least 3 months. And let me know how it's going. I want to hear from you. I love hearing from you guys. And again, I appreciate your support so very much. If you enjoyed this podcast episode, please share it with your friends, family. I hope 2022 is off to a great start for everybody, and I will be talking to you soon. Have a great day. If you enjoyed this episode of the Warrior in Progress podcast, then please share it with your friends, share it with everybody. Make sure to subscribe to this podcast as well, so you can get notifications on when I release new episodes. Meanwhile, you can follow me on social media. On Facebook, my handle is fullycommitted13, and on Instagram, my handle is fully_committed13. You can find out more about my work at mckeehealth.com. That's McKeehealth.com. And make sure to download my free Tame Your Inner Critic guide at mckeehealth.com, and you can learn how to stop beating yourself up, how to stop sabotaging yourself so that you can achieve your goals. Remember, you're a warrior in progress, and you can do anything you set your mind to.